Hello? Can you hear me? I'd hate for y'all to miss my first official moment as a Mrs. On behalf of myself and Todd, my husband. Dang, I like the sound of that. I'd like to thank you all for being here on this wonderful day. We've all come here in this beautiful setting to celebrate love. Speaking of which, I want to thank my Aunt Viola. It was so sweet of her to reduce the restraining order against Uncle Huel to 30 feet so he could be in this room with us today. It was really just so Uncle Huel, get back! You hugged that wall! We do not want a repeat of the ugly mess you made of Easter Sunday. That's better. Now, wasn't the ceremony just precious? And little Brandon is such a trooper. 4 years old and his first time to be a ring bearer. Shoot, under that kind of pressure, I would have thrown up myself. But he's fine now, and the photographer promised to delete all those pictures. And Todd and I absolutely insist on picking up the dry cleaning bill for everyone who was seated at the end of row 4. Oh, and those doves! Weren't they awesome? Oh, the image of them being released and soaring into the sky the moment Todd and I kissed will always stay with me. Even though it might have ended better if someone had remembered today is the first day of hunting season. But I have been assured the ringing in our ears will stop from the gunfire before the first dance. You know, I'm not much of a drinker, but I do like this. Oh, now, there are a few people I would like to thank. Daddy, of course, for all his love and generosity. My mom and her best friends for teaching me everything they know about how to survive the big day. Actually, it was at one of their weddings 6, maybe 7 years ago, right here at Laurelton Oaks, that I learned lesson number 1, expect the unexpected. There's an old saying that if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Well, on that day I learned that if you want to make him double over and howl, you should tell him your wedding plans.
Mom, it's not my fault my room is a mess. Me and Anthony were playing with his new race cars. Only 4 of them. Then we heard a weird noise outside, so we opened the window. This huge spaceship landed, and this slimy green alien climbed out, and it had 3 heads. Anthony tried to shoot it with my zapper gun, but it didn't even hurt him. It just got him really mad. So he knocked all the books off my shelf and picked up my toy chest with its long purple antennas and dumped it all over my room. So I threw a frisbee at him. It bonked him on his 3rd head and he slimed out the window and the spaceship disappeared into the sky. Jeez, Mom, you should be happy I'm alive.
The character that I'm playing is a very nosy Duchess of Berwick, who is trying to convince the young Lady Windermere that her husband, Lord Windermere, has been cheating on her with another woman. The time is 1892, and the place is London. Ah, what indeed, dear, that is the point. He goes to see her continually and stops for hours at a time, and while he is there, she is not at home to anyone. Not that many ladies called on her, dear, but she has got a great many disreputable men friends. My own brother particularly, as I told you. And that is what makes it so dreadful about Windermere. We looked upon him as being such a model husband, but I'm afraid there's no doubt about it. My dear nieces, you know the Saville girls, don't you? Such nice domestic creatures. Plain, dreadfully plain, but so good. Well, they're always at the window doing fancy work, making ugly things for the poor, which I think so useful of them in these dreadful socialistic days. And this terrible woman has taken a house in Curzon Street, right opposite them. Such a respectable street, too. I don't know what we're coming to. And they tell me that Windermere goes there 4 and 5 times a week. They see him. They can't help it. And although they never talk scandal, well, of course they remark on it to everyone. And the worst part of it is that I have been told that this woman has got a great deal of money out of somebody, for it seems she came to London 6 months ago without anything at all to speak of. And now she has this charming house in Mayfair, drives her ponies in the park every afternoon, and all since she has known poor dear Windermere. It's quite true, my dear. The whole of London knows about it.
You know why I did it. I went in that box because I felt pointless. I've been working at the Pacific Lab for 10 years, right from the very beginning, when they first started digging out the tunnel for the particle collider. 6 years ago, that's when the lab lost its funding and work on the collider stopped. They applied for some grants and started a campaign to get some donations. There are some times they're getting close, or at least that's what they told us. Me and the other staff who weren't the physicists and didn't really know anything, other security guards, custodians, maintenance techs, IT people. But one by one, we started getting laid off. The lab geeks were long gone, the techs went, then they hired out a private custodial service, and they stopped even paying for that. The place just started to fall apart. Most of the other guards, they got their pink slips. Some of us who had been there the longest, like me, we got the option of either staying on during the night or taking a buyout. Someone still owns the place, and I guess they must have been worried about teenagers coming in at night and defacing everything. So, I stayed. I think everyone took the buyout except me. I don't know why I didn't. This was a comfortable job where I didn't really have to do anything. I just sat around looking at monitors and made rounds to the complex every once in a while. 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., every Monday through Friday, I was there. And gradually, the pointlessness of it all started to dawn on me. There weren't any guards there during the other hours of the day. And about 6 months ago, I learned there's nobody there on the weekend nights. I didn't have to be doing my job. Show up, not show up, didn't matter. Probably sounds like paradise to some people, but when you're working at night and sleeping during the day, it can be hard to meet people. It can make for a pretty lonely existence. Pretty pointless. I was reading a lot while on the job, mostly about particle physics, just because that's what I was surrounded by. And I read about the Schrodinger's cat thought experiment and quantum entanglement, and I figured, why the hell not? Who would miss me if I turned up dead in a box? That was the worst case scenario, I figured. I ended up dead in a box. Then I realized, even in the best case scenario, that's eventually how I'm going to end up anyway.